Here's the mistake almost everyone makes the second a new model drops.
They either type one vague prompt into a chat box and call it a review, or they dive straight into code and lose half the room in 90 seconds. I've done both on this channel, and I've spent real time and real tokens figuring out the version that actually works, and what I found surprised me. The best way to run GPT 5.5 isn't the most powerful setting. It's almost the opposite.
Welcome back to bitbiased.ai, where we do the research so you don't have to. Join our community of AI enthusiasts with our free weekly newsletter. Click the link in the description below to subscribe. You will get the key AI news, tools, and learning resources to stay ahead.
So in this video, I'll show you exactly how to run GPT 5.5 at its best, what it really costs, where it genuinely shines, where it quietly breaks, and how to demo it live without the usual chaos. Stick with me, and you'll walk away with a setup you can copy in minutes. First up, what GPT 5.5 actually is, because that one detail changes everything about how you run it. What it is. Officially, GPT 5.5 is OpenAI's newest frontier model for complex professional work. And that phrase matters more than it sounds. The API version ships with a 1.05 million token context window, up to 128,000 output tokens, and built-in support for tools like web search, file search, code interpreter, hosted shell, and computer use. So this isn't a chatbot you poke for fun. It's a work model. And the way you demo a work model is completely different from how you'd show off a clever chat toy. Hold that thought, because here's the part that trips up most creators, where it actually runs. If you want the real GPT 5.5, you use ChatGPT, or the API. Full stop. There is no official local GPT 5.5 release anywhere in OpenAI's public docs, and pretending otherwise is how tutorials lose credibility. If you genuinely need something local, the official OpenAI native substitute is the GPT-oss line. GPT-oss 20b is positioned for local or low latency work, and GPT-oss 120b is the heavyweight open weight option that OpenAI says fits on a single H100. Useful to know. But notice the trap. That's a substitute, not the model itself. Get that wrong on camera and someone in the comments will correct you in real time. The rule of thumb. So here's my rule, and it'll save you a lot of second guessing. If you're making a video for a broad audience, start in ChatGPT with GPT 5.5 thinking. Zero code, instant payoff. If you're teaching builders, move fast into the responses API. And if you're doing a self-hosting video, just be honest and say it out loud. You're no longer running GPT 5.5. You're running an open weight stand-in. 3 audiences, 3 paths. Drop a comment telling me which one you're here for. It genuinely shapes what I demo next. Now let me show you why the API path is the one that separates a real tutorial from a vibe check. Why the responses API? The best practice path is the responses API, and OpenAI recommends it specifically for advanced agentic workflows. The reason is subtle but powerful. Reasoning persists between tool calls. Translation. The model remembers why it started doing something, so multi-step tasks come out cleaner instead of falling apart halfway through. If you've ever watched a model forget its own plan 3 steps in, this is the fix. But here's where most people overcorrect, and it costs them. Running it at its best is not the same as maxing everything. Running GPT 5.5 at its best is not about cranking every dial to the ceiling. OpenAI's own troubleshooting guide warns that these models can overthink. If your prompt has no clear definition of done, or your reasoning effort is set too high, the model will happily burn time and tokens exploring paths it never needed. So for routine work, use low or even minimal reasoning, and save the heavy settings for genuinely hard problems. This is the single biggest aha for most people watching. Restraint is a feature, not a compromise. Prompting that actually holds. Prompting matters more than people want to admit. The current guidance is to put your high-level behavior in a higher priority developer message. Then structure it cleanly. Identity, instructions, examples, context. And use Markdown or XML style boundaries when you need the model to keep sections separate. And one habit that quietly saves production teams? Pin a specific snapshot so behavior stays stable when you ship. If you've been wondering why your prompts drift over time, that's usually the missing piece. All right, enough theory. Let's actually run this thing. Live demo, part 1, ChatGPT. We start in ChatGPT because nothing builds trust faster than seeing it work. I pick GPT 5.5 thinking in the model picker, then paste one prompt asking for 3 things: a browser-only path, an API path, and a local substitute path, each with honest trade-offs. That single answer gives the audience a mental map before we touch a line of code. And watch this. While it's thinking, you can add instructions midstream. That little moment is one of the most underrated things you can show live, because it makes the model feel collaborative instead of like a slot machine. Live demo part 2, the API. Now the API. I send a request to the responses endpoint with model GPT-5.5, low reasoning, low verbosity, and a short developer instruction telling it to answer in plain English and keep it tight. And this is the first big lesson for everyone watching. You don't need a giant magic prompt stuffed with secret phrases. You need a clear one. The boring clarity is the trick. The ultimate mega prompt you saw on Twitter usually isn't. Live demo part 3, streaming. Next, streaming. And this one's almost free to add. If your output is long, don't make people stare at a frozen screen waiting for a wall of text to appear all at once. OpenAI documents streaming explicitly, and it's one of the easiest quality of life upgrades there is. Here's the psychology. People forgive a slower answer far more easily when they can watch it arrive. Perceived speed beats raw speed almost every time. Live demo part 4, code interpreter. Then I switched to code interpreter. And this is where GPT 5.5 stops looking like fancy autocomplete and starts looking like a real work engine. The tool runs Python in a sandboxed environment, which means the model can calculate, transform files, and produce actual artifacts, tables, graphs, real output you can see. On YouTube specifically, that visibility is gold, because the audience watches the model do something instead of just talk about it. Which brings us to the question everyone's quietly waiting for: what it costs. Let's talk money, because this is where people get nervous for no reason. GPT 5.5 standard API pricing is $5 per million input tokens, 50 cents per million cached input tokens, and $30 per million output tokens. In practice, a lean 15-minute demo lands around 27 cents. A more realistic mixed demo runs closer to 56 cents, and tool calls add a little on top. Web search is billed per call, file search is per call plus storage, and a default code interpreter session is just a few cents. So before you talk yourself out of this, a polished demo costs less than a cup of coffee. Cache your stable prompt prefix and it gets cheaper still. Cheaper self-hosting. If you want genuinely cheap self-hosting, that's where the open-weight substitute earns its place. An H100 on AWS runs roughly $4 an hour depending on region, and RunPod lists H100 instances around $3 an hour. That's perfectly viable for a GPT-oss-120B video. But, and I'll keep saying this because precision is the whole point, that is not GPT 5.5. Same family, different model. Be exact with your wording and your audience will trust everything else you say. Where it shines. So what is GPT 5.5 actually best at? Based on OpenAI's public benchmarks, the strongest story is coding and agentic work. Terminal Bench, OS World, Toolathlon, BrowseComp, Frontier Math, CyberGym all show broad gains over the previous version. That's genuinely impressive. But here's the line that earns you respect on a serious channel. Those are still largely vendor benchmarks. First-party evidence is strong evidence, not final truth. Independent replication is still catching up. Say that out loud, and you instantly sound like someone worth listening to instead of someone reading a press release. Where it breaks. The failure modes are worth knowing too, because they're predictable. GPT-5 family models can overthink, call too many tools, get too verbose, or break their own tool calls when your prompt contains contradictions. So your debugging order should be prompt first, then tool routing, then your evals, and only then a model switch, not random parameter roulette. Fix the instructions before you blame the model. 9 times out of 10, the model was doing exactly what your messy prompt told it to. So the final takeaway is simple. For the cleanest live demo, open with ChatGPT GPT 5.5 thinking, then show the responses API, then use code interpreter for visible work. And stay honest that local means GPT-oss, not GPT 5.5 itself. If this helped, subscribe. It's evidence-based AI workflows like this every week. And tell me in the comments which one you want next. A full production-grade GPT 5.5 eval harness, or a from-scratch self-hosted GPT-oss build. Whichever wins, I'll make it.